Welcome back to MTG Arena. It's me, it's CGB. Some also see my real name, of course, because it's on the YouTubes. So whatever you want to call me. Quick moment before we launch, just to thank everybody on YouTube. We're at an all-time high in viewers, an all-time high in subscribers, all-time high in comments. And I just want to give a shout out and say thank you for taking the time to watch these videos when you could literally be watching almost anything you could possibly want in the world. So I appreciate you. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Today's quest, 2 games with a red-green deck to win 2 games, very important, and 300 gold for that. I think we can do it. Now, let's throw together. I think I've tried to do this on channel before, but let's see if we can make something just out of red and green. I'd love to be a ramp style deck, as I really enjoy those, but the kind of mid-rangey Dino build is very solid. I don't have that much Enrage, but I do have a Polyraptor, which sort of makes me want to go for Enragey Dinos anyway. And I definitely want a bunch of the cheap removal spells, and maybe those will help me fight the red monsters. But let's try the Enraged Dino and see how much of a shell we have and how much we're still missing after we throw it all together. I don't think there's much on this page. The Death Spitter doesn't quite fit my vibe that I'm going for, but Sweltering Suns does. And I've seen people use Shake the Foundations rather brutally, actually. I'm going to keep it around for a minute. Doesn't mean for sure we're going to play it. I do have 3 of these Forerunners, so that's something. I have 3 of these Needletooths, so maybe we're just going to play Dino control thing and then try to let our bigger monsters win the game. Maybe. We'll see. I definitely have more cards for that than I did the last time I tried this build. So I don't know how Dinosaur we can even get. The Glorybringer is not something you can commune for, but something you certainly would like to draw. Chandler Initiate, Drover of the Mighty. Sweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe we still want a pair of like Naga Vitalists to get our ramp creature onto. Ronus's Last Stand is interesting with all those mana creatures, but not really on the Dino plan. What else can we build? I've seen Mouth to Feed doing a lot of work in these kind of decks, specifically from watching Legends streams on the Twitch, where he's been hanging out lately. The guy has 3 Mouth to Feeds, and every time he draws like 4 or 5 cards off it, I get so jealous. I want to do that. That looks really cool. Who wouldn't want to do that? Let's see. We're already over the amount of cards we really want to go to here, so I gotta be a little careful. I wonder if Flash Sailback is even a consideration at this point. I think we have enough 5s without it, but there's our Ghalta, there's our Polyraptor. Verdant Sun's Avatar is a good idea. The red decks, you do need to gain some life in there so that you don't get burnt out as you build up to your end game. And then these are some of the more popular critters. Heaven's an interesting one that never really seems to pay off, and yet I keep trying. Some would say I'm just a hopeless romantic. I just want to think that heaven isn't too far away. Alright, on the mana front, maybe 1 Ramunap Ruins will save us someday, same with an Oasis, but I don't think we want too many deserts. They damage us. Red is about 30% of the meta. It went from about 10% when we started the format to about 15% to 22%, and now it's up to 30-ish% on the regular. So, yuck. And these will play Dinosaurs. They may not play that Glorybringer, which is a little scary, but I think it's worth trying at this point. All right. So what gets cut in such a deck? Magma Sprays have diminishing returns, so I think that cutting one of those is a perfectly feasible thing. To shake the foundations, I'd rather have the Sweltering Suns. The Needletooth Raptor is interesting, but I think we can cut it down to one as a fun of. We can search it for the Forerunner if we have to, and the Sailbacks don't quite pull their weight. Samut is also a pretty cool card. We don't have Regisaur Alpha. Maybe it can hang out for the time being, but it's not a dinosaur. And this is a very dino deck. Heaven can go, and yeah, Samut can go. I don't think I'll cut the Glorybringer just because it's better than a lot of the dinos in general, but we shall see. I'm going to cut a bunch of the other non-dino-y things. I really like having a lot of lightning strikes. I like having magma sprays. Just so much early interaction. So how crucial is the 2 mana? The ramp guy. It's pretty crucial. Just looking at the curve though, then maybe I have more 3s than I need, but 2 of them are Savage Stomps. But those are also like removal spells, which means I can probably cut something else as well on the removal side. There is some Godpharaoh's Gift running around, but still under 10%. And Lightning Strike kind of pairs well, as sometimes you just aggro them out. You just strike them out of there. This is a human, so if naming human off a Cavern of Souls can play any of our 2-drop human types. And maybe Sweltering Suns isn't the way to go, since it would kill some amount of our humans and dinos, and we have Forerunners and we have Raging Swordtooths. Speaking of the 5-drops, perhaps I don't need all the Raging Swordtooths and all the Raging Regisaurs. Perhaps we can trim that a little bit. And do we still need Forerunner? Do we need all the Forerunners? Perhaps 2 is a better number, as you don't want a Forerunner flood. And I think I'll cut the Initiate and just stick to my dino-themed dorks. I think we'll have either those or a removal spell often enough that we have plenty of 2-mana plays. All right, so red green, dinos. Life finds a way. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Let's go get it. Oh, no, nope, can't have that art. That art is not sufficient. Let's get the big dino in there. Big Ghalta. There you go. Bring out the T-Rex. Okay. So this is extreme budget dinos. No Regisaur Alphas, no Ripjaw Raptors. Just hoping that mid-rangey dorks are good enough. And maybe a dragon will show up as well. And we're on the draw, so let's see if we can shake the first game curse. I usually get smoked my first game. And I see that the red deck will give us no quarter. Alright, let's commune. I take the 4-drop with Regisaur. We have to draw a second red for the Glorybringer, but I'm going to have some faith that that will come, and I don't want to share the 5-drop spot with my Glorybringer. So I'm putting my faith in the deck to deliver me another red source along the way. Double Firebrand is annoying. Soulscar Mage. My god. The 1-drops. Well, we'll play the Mountain, and our plays for the next 2 turns are likely to strike the best thing we see. And do we have a Minotaur? I'm sure that little hesitation gave my opponent cause to think I might not have, or that I have a Lightning Strike, I should say. Well, let's get rid of Soulscar Mage, as it's very annoying for our dinos. You would have to have 2 spells here, and since one of them would likely have to be Magma Spray, I doubt he wants to spray his own creature to keep his Soulscar Mage, but... Alright, play the Timber Gorge and pass the turn. Probably get bolted. which is fine. It's very aggressive. The red deck's supposed to be aggressive. If they have a Hazoret here, it makes too much sense, but instead it's Crasher. Alright, but if a Bolt is out of their hand, they can't pair it with a Firebrand to kill the Regisaur potentially, so that's what I want to check on them with. How about this Regisaur? You got something for that? Drawn a few more lands than I want, but at least we found our second red along the way. Second Crasher is annoying. And very close to death because of it. Just about any haste creature will do it here. But that's what happens. Our opponent might just beat us right through 2 removal spells and 2 big creatures. And there's the good game, so he has the lethal. No, we'll see if we'll make him show it. So that's what happens when you're on the draw against red. You just die. You just die. I bet on the play we're fine. I bet on the play you're fine. However, my stats show that I'm under 14% on the draw against red. That's how often you win. Like 14% of games on the draw against red. That's across all decks. The highest number I have is like 30%, and that's with a blue-white token life gain pile. So that's actually designed to beat red. That's the highest I could get is 30%. That's how lopsided red is in this meta. That's how good the red deck is compared to everything else. And I wish I thought things would change in Dominaria, but I really don't. I think that Dominaria will be more of the same. The best hope I have is for black. It seems to have the cheapest interaction. But I don't see the shell quite yet. And nothing quite replaces Fatal Push in Standard for holding off the black deck. But now, or the red deck. But now here we have something different. This is red-blue. What do we want to get with our Forerunner here? Just some good body, I guess. Or is that the play, or do we just play the Needletooth Raptor? It beats down a little harder, but dies to Moment of Craving. But it does protect our Drover from Moment of Craving, which is really important right now. Yeah, I think I'll just make this play. Now, if he has a moment, he has to go after the Raptor, not the Drover, which, providing mana, it's important. I gotta tell you, against blue-red, it might be hard to get our Polyraptor combo off. But we can give it a try. Chart, of course. Perhaps this is a Godpharaoh's Gift deck? Ah, well, that gives it away, doesn't it? Okay, very interesting. We have the Struggle to Survive, which could be big game. I do want to keep drawing lands, and I also need to find a creature. I think I'll play... I was thinking about playing Forerunner into Commune, but I think I'll Commune and then Forerunner. And we have a Charging Monstrosaur, which is excellent. So we'll put that in the hand. And we'll deploy the Forerunner. And we'll get the Thrashing Brontodon, because that will interact with the gift or the Gate to the Afterlife, should that come down. It's also a reasonably costed play that lets us keep attacking with our Drover, as opposed to tapping for mana like we've had to do so far. And that Forerunner can also, combine with Needletooth Raptor, clear out anything that wants to get in the way. So here's Chart of Course. Our opponent has no creatures and Godpharaoh's Gift in their graveyard. And now there is a Dusk Legion Zealot, but they have a long way to go before Gate to the Afterlife works. Seeker Squire. The Moment of Cray Cray. I think you keep that for the Needletooth Raptor, because otherwise it will forever dominate your destiny. Alright. Bring out the Monstrosaur. Trigger Forerunner of the Empire. triggers Needletooth Raptor, kills the opponent's creature. Everybody gets some. There may be no time for a Polyraptor combo, as a Godpharaoh's Gift combo versus a Polyraptor combo. Interesting, but the Godpharaoh's Gift comes online sooner and likely gives us no chance. I'm thinking a Chupacabra is the most likely play for the turn, but we'll see what happens. We know about the Moment of Craving. And I think my opponent knows if they Chupacabra and kill this, if we play any other dinosaur, and he knows about the Brontodon, then we just kill the Chupacabra and we get in again. So perhaps there's another line they want to take. Usually the cheaper cards you see are Dusk Legion Zealot and such. So passing the turn, Vraska's Contempt, perhaps. Drawing the Hashep Oasis is interesting, but I'm just better off attacking with the Drover for this turn. So let's get him. Yep, zippity-zap. We could prevent the 2 life gain by casting Struggle on our own Monstrosaur, but I think that's actually that doesn't do it because I didn't have the land in play, and I still think that that's very loose and unlikely to be the right play. But so let's instead deploy our Bronto and decline the Enrage trigger. Doesn't really do anything for us there. So this could be a big turn if they are packing a Chupacabra and they can play that in a moment, they're in good shape. But no, they're just passing, which implies that that's not the case. And we'll just send everybody. It's very likely they'll target. Oh, okay. So how about struggling here? Does our opponent take 6? They do. Is there anything they could do about it with 1 mana? No. So we'll prevent the life gain by targeting our own creature with Struggle. And that'll finish the game. Got our first win with the red green deck. Woohoo! Alright. Let's power up a Dousing Dagger. Egads. But we went over the gold number, so let's go grab a pack. Some people are saving their packs for the next set, Dominaria. I just don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. I very much want to play the game as it is. We don't know when that update is coming out, although that may be announced later today. And to be honest, I still think that that like Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation are the most powerful sets we'll have available for some time. So I'm going to keep grabbing packs whenever I can. All right, an uncommon wild card is always appreciated and one of the better things I could pull. And a Dread Wanderer, my 3rd one, making me think perhaps the world wants me to play zombies. All right. Moving right to it, though. Let's see if we can win that second game. Make ourselves a little gold pile. The Lucky Fool is the opponent. And this hand is pretty good. As long as the Huntmaster lives on the play, this is one of those hands that could be a runaway. A hasty Etali would no doubt delight the people, delight the viewers, or let us down brutally. Land, for example. My best Etali ever was probably a time I hit my own Carnage Tyrant, and I believe I hit my opponent's Nezahal on 1 Etali trigger. Don't think it gets a ton better than that. Here is the Sacrificial Lamb. You just know the red deck is always sitting on Magma Spray. One of the best cards in the deck for trading. Trading with your opponent's board at a discount. Kills so many things. The Exile is very relevant. I feel weird not running 4 of it myself, and that may be the right thing to do instead of running the Lightning Strikes. Now Abrade our opponent on the kill all your things plan. And a Rigging Runner. Well, at least we're drawing the lands to keep going. It would be sad if we didn't. Needletooth Raptor. We'll see what you do. It's awkward for our opponent because if we're allowed to block with it, the first strike damage kills it, and then we can target something else. Ooh, and down comes Hazoret. Yep. Alright, well, Hazoret to attack still has to go through the Needletooth Raptor, and Hazoret can't block right this minute, so let's get the Monstrosaur in there. This is going to be an awkward race, so we need to start dealing damage. An awkward race because we kind of kick off the party so far behind. Now, Needletooth Raptor is not good against, I was about to say, Earthshaker Kenra. So we're going to take a truck of damage for that. And our opponent either just drew that or did a very good job being patient and waiting for it, expecting a situation like that to play out. So here's Etali, which can block the Hazoret. So now I think we just have to say no attacks and make our opponent figure out how to get through. And they'll do 2 with Hazoret here and probably top deck Lightning Strike and win. Well, if it's a Lightning Strike, it's a very slow one. The opponent could attack with all, but like I said, we can still put the Raptor in front of the first striker and then deal damage to the unblocked creature, so that's a good reason not to make a play like that. Let's try communing first. We're dead on the untap, so this is very likely our last turn, and we need to basically hit a home run. So, is there a haste, something with haste or a Savage Stomp or something? I'm trying to think of anything I could dig up with this Commune. But we may as well try. Don't think we get anywhere by not trying. There's a Raging Regisaur. But it doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield. So now we need Etali to do God knows what. Hit lightning. I mean, there's really nothing for the Hazoret. But let's roll the Etali dice. And we get a Daring Buccaneer. Lucky us. Alright. Add that to the stats for being on the draw against the red deck. No, wait, that was on the play. So that time, even the play couldn't save us. Perhaps attacking with the Monstrosaur was a big mistake. Like I said, either the opponent was very wise to slow roll that Earthshaker Kenra instead of playing it earlier, or they drew it and got very lucky. Typically by that point in the game, like entering turn 5, I'm not playing around Earthshaker Kenras unless I've been holding up red mana the whole game, because perhaps they kept a Magma Spray. Perhaps they kept it in case of a Magma Spray. So, much regrets. Also, Hazoret is quite the beating. And this hand is very slow. We'll need to draw a mana creature, but it's got all the monsters. But if we're against red, I find that this hand, I mean, this is unplayable against red. On the draw, like I said, the stats are so bad on the draw, in Arena in general, that I find you have to mulligan until you get hands that can kind of fight back on the draw. So a card like Magma Spray is very important, having 2 drops and 3 drops and enough land. So you just have to mulligan those slow hands. The format's too fast otherwise. We'll play the mountain. Hold up the spray. Perhaps catch a Nurse Shaker Kenra with it. Alright. 4 games, 3 of them red. Let's see. Just hold off on that for a second. This is a creature that dies to the Swordtooth, so I'd much rather hit a Kenra or a Crasher. Fanatical Firebrand also dies to Swordtooth, but if he's not going to play a Crasher here, then we just have to play the Magma Spray. Opponents have become very wary about playing around removal with their on-crop Crashers because they're so good and have such an impact as soon as they come down. Alright, I think I'll play the Raptor, so I have an enraged creature. Even if it gets lightning struck, I get a Swordtooth next turn. So, however, opponent could Kenra it, could crash it. There's so many other ways for the red deck to do damage. And they're going to choose a Braid. So now we can definitely guess they don't have a on-crop Crasher or an Earthshaker Kenra. We'll know when they play it that we got top decked. Alright, let's enjoy our glorious Raging Swordtooth. 2 for 1. 3 for 1, because we still get a 5/5 body. Captivating Crew is not Hazoret. It's often the poor man's Hazoret in this format. So stuck on 5. We probably play the Regisaur and get in there with this Swordtooth. We gotta start dealing damage because Captivating Crew can be a big bummer if we don't ever draw a Lightning Strike or a Braid. And then it's like, do you put out the Regisaur or do you put out the Ranging Raptors? They're probably going to steal this. Attack. We don't want to trade for our own, but we can potentially... It's like we take 9. So if we play something smaller... Interesting. If we play this one, he'll steal this. He'll come in for 9. We'll untap, hit for 10. He'll untap, steal again, hit for another 9, and we die. If I play this, it at least threatens to trade for the crew. If he steals that, hits for 8. This also threatens to trade for the crew. If he steals that, he only hits for 7. That's not a turn clock. We untap and hit back for 8. And then untap and hit back for lethal. So the right call is the Brontodon, which is not what I would have expected until I ran the numbers of how a race with using the crew would really go here. And here we go. If that's all he's doing, we're going to take the damage because we're still ahead in this race. All right. So now we play that race game. We keep racing him because the best thing he can do is steal the Swordtooth for 4 mana and get us to 2. There isn't a shock. Magma Spray can't go to the face. So we want to attack and try to win the game. Their opponent takes it. I'm tempted to play the Swordtooth just for the max amount of trample power on the battlefield. And I think I will. But the other thing our opponent could do is play multiple 1-drop creatures. What if they do that and attack for 4 and play little creatures? This gets in for 2. I mean, this would kill them. But so would just being a trample creature. So yeah, we're just going to get the max amount of trample damage on the battlefield. Force our opponent to do some very bad blocking. We do lose to something weird like a Consuming Fervor. Fanatical Firebrand doesn't quite do it. And our opponent could have done that on our turn to blow up our combat step, but instead they're taking, in my opinion, the too aggressive approach. Perhaps they don't know how or don't want to think about blocking. And that draw will put this one away. They can block here, but they still take too much damage. And I suppose our opponent couldn't have blown up our combat well with a lightning strike on top of our deck, so that one was going to end in our favor. And that is why Captivating Crew is not as good as Hazoret. And a Jadelight Ranger, our third Jadelight Ranger, so a pretty good open for the second of the day. And with the quest complete, I think we'll play something else. The Dino deck is interesting and fun, but it's got a long way to go, I think, to be complete. But instead, we'll revisit, I guess, let's try a game or two with Approach. And I'll share, I guess, a little bit of what I'm running there. One of the stupid cards I'm trying is Gale Strike. So let's see how that goes. Probably not as good as the Baffling Ends, but oh, it says draw a card on it, you guys. Reminds me of Repulse. It's another way to punish opponents for playing around Settle the Wreckage by only sending like 1 or 2 creatures that you then Gale Strike so that you live another turn. Which Baffling End doesn't have that kind of utility. And sure, we'll have to check the deck list. I run 26 or 27 lands, so you always hope you'll get there, but you are never guaranteed to. So we'll be sweating a little bit. If our opponent keeps our mana busy, we'll be sweating a lot because getting the chance to cycle these may be difficult with only 1 blue source and at least 2 counterspells that we want to play. So, opponent, what do you think of your hand? I think they're having an even harder time with it than we did. All right. So, what are we up against? Interesting. A mountain, you say? What could it mean? The matchup between this deck and red is very poor. We would be very lucky to win under any circumstances. And that doesn't seem to change whether I use Ritual of Rejuvenation, Desert's Hold, Renewed Faith, various other like life gain, stalling type tactics. I think we'll use the Censor while we can. Savvy opponents play around it very well with the red deck since they have a lot of 1 and 2 drops and can function on a ridiculously low amount of mana. So missing land drops feels like a death sentence already. I guess we just have to hope we catch our opponent very light on threats. Captain Lannery Storm. I think we'll just counter that, as there's a chance the clue could be very relevant, letting our opponent play things like Glorybringer early. But we want to save the last Essence Scatter here for a Hazoret or something of that nature, so we'll definitely say fine to the Rigging Runner. And they're passing the turn, so let's see if we can opt into a land. There's 1, there's 2, and they start coming in bundles. I think that having another blue available gives us the most options, since our hand is so blue. It's blue, da ba dee ba da 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 ba dee. Sorry, singing habits from streaming. Charging Monstrosaur is a beautiful sensor target. And we'll tap this for colorless and avoid taking that damage. Opponent censored again. The tilt could happen. I also think, well, 1 damage isn't too bad. Cards like, there's so many cards like On-Crop Crasher you'd rather hit. And Hazoret is what you want to save the Essence Scatter for. I think we accept this for now. Our life total is high enough that it doesn't feel like we're under so much pressure that we can't try to be patient and place our removal spells better. And our opponent's seen enough. They want nothing more to do. Perhaps the decision of whether or not to attack into a Settle the Wreckage is too much for them. And another Censor. So the opens are being very kind to us today. I can probably make room for that Censor. And what I should probably be cutting is the Gale Strike. But but I'm going to cut a Binding instead, as it's like the last sorcery speed removal spell that I have in the deck. How is our land count? 27. Keep that in mind when we can't hit our second, or when we can't hit our 3rd land drop. Let's try for one more. The 4th win of the day is usually like a rare mythic or better. It's usually a pretty good open, but perhaps not today since we already had a rare. So we'll find out though. Maybe we'll find out this game, maybe not. His hand is slow. And I've said that you need a very good hand on the draw. We have our land drops. We don't have a cheap counter or removal, but we do have 2 removals on 3. This is a tough one, as we could get run over pretty hard. But if we're up against control, the Search for Ghalta could just win the game. And if we're up against mid-range, this hand is plenty fast. It's just, we're already over our quota on red decks. we're at, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're at like 60% of meta today red, when it's 30% statistically. So I'm going to gamble that this is not red, and I'm going to keep this hand. And a forest. Okay. The mid-range match with Dinosaurs is very interesting. It's mostly in our favor, but not a given. And drawing the second search is easily the worst possible draw in the deck, unless our opponent blows up with a Brontodon. There's a Drover. Alright. So let's get the search out. Start searching. Easily, and I hate to be so pessimistic, guys, but I swear I draw the second search so often. However, there's a Bronto. And does he go right after the search? Wow, he does. I'm kind of amazed by that. I think it would be wiser to get some damage in, but you can't play the games for the opponents. They definitely do their own thing. I think I'll hold up the Slash of Talons just in case. Just in case our opponent sends that Drover in without playing a Dinosaur first, because that would be a really great catch for us. Another Brontodon is, wow. Okay, so already we're off to an interesting start with both searches dead and Brontodons for days from the opponent. I don't know if I've ever seen a start quite like that. So what now? A Ripjaw Raptor. Okay. We could kill it with Farm, or we could Gale Strike it, which I think is... I think it's the more charming play, as getting to draw that card is nice. And hopefully later we can kill the Dinosaur and then we can kill the Drover. I think I'm going to opt here for a land drop, though. Ooh, but Essence Scatter is very helpful. I'll take the Essence Scatter. Even if we don't end up playing it this turn, it will probably matter down the road. Since my opponent's on Carnage Tyrant mana, I'm just going to fire the farm, as countering it wouldn't work anyway. And it's Ranging Raptors, so that's nice. And Drover. Might be able to settle this particular wreckage next turn. Our opponent already has a number of lands, so I'm not worried about that. They don't appear to have a dinosaur in their hand unless they're concealing it for reasons I can't fathom. So, yeah, I think this is where we can use one of our settles. We do have a second one somewhere in the deck if a Carnage Tyrant shows up. But I'm guessing, based on our opponent's hand, that this alleviates all the pressure. I'm thinking it's in a Magma Spray or an Abrade or a Savage Stomp. That would be my prediction for the hand. I think we'll Hyro this turn and mark it possibly next turn. Definitely want to get the Hyro cast when we have a chance to. There's a Commune. Let's see what our opponent finds. There are definitely times to counter a Commune, and if I had a cancel or a negate, I'd counter that Commune because we just can't run into a Carnage Tyrant here. But just a Ripjaw Raptor. That will eat the Essence Scatter. Okay. Let's play Market. Think we can discard these Slashes of Talons. Not doing much here. And I think I can cycle the other desert. So we'll just play the Plains here. And hold up Cast Out for a hasty Monstrosaur or Samut. Something like that. A Glorybringer? No. Alright, let's try opting first. That will be useful. I can definitely, being at 20, can afford to pay a life here to opt again. Not as useful. And for turn, hold up the things, play the control game. Opponent flooding pretty hard, must be discouraging. They are sticking it out, which is, I guess, nice for viewers, so that you get to see me play out the game and try to find my way to the approach. Okay. The dream, living the Control Mage dream. If you like drawing and scrying and drawing and scrying, you're definitely doing it there on end step, trying to get through the deck. There are two approaches, in case you wondered. And here is a Ripjaw Raptor. It doesn't have an ETB, which makes it a pretty good cast-out target. Our opponent's already shown us a number of Brontodons, which makes cast-out kind of safe, and we can scatter a Brontodon, so I think we'll let this resolve. And since we don't lack mana anyway, I'm just going to hold off on playing some kind of removal spell on it to get max info. It also might be a good idea to cycle this Gale Strike here, let our opponent attack, and then Gale Strike the Ripjaw. Considering that there's not much else going on with us right now. Try to get to more card draw and an approach as quickly as possible before Carnage Tyrant shows up. So, a little fog action. Alright. Starting to hit that 27 lands. Starting to show up. And we'll do this before we even enter the attack step, in case there's some kind of a ridiculous card with Raid in the deck. Red is a Raid color. And no, just more lands for our opponent. Perhaps they're holding out hope that they'll draw the Carnage Tyrant. More lands for our opponent. They're up to 14. Pretty brutal flood game for them. But good of them not to concede. Speaking of a flood, Supreme Will getting us right through. Is there another? Beyond the flood, the second sun. We'll see. Opponent may just take the scoop off of this play, but we'll see. There's Samut. We'll show an Essence Scatter for that. Okay, on our end step, we'll activate a If New Rivulet. Target ourselves to get closer to the second sun. We can sacrifice the White Desert as we have plenty of white sources and no extra utility from it. So we actually milled one of our approaches. And there's one left. So this will be a long couple of turns seeing if our opponent can somehow hit the top of our deck. Oh, it's kind of, Magic is silly sometimes. So they go for a Forerunner. I think we just let that resolve. They will put a dinosaur they really like on top of their deck, and we'll hit it with a Rivulet. The only way that could get messed up is if they have some kind of a cycler. And then we have the other Rivulet to activate, so even then we've got the answer. So, my clock is running. Why is my clock running? My clock should not be running. Carney T, thank you. All right, so sacrifice a desert. Target you. Blue. Blue. Sacrifice the blue desert. And send Carney T to the bin. And there's Desert the True. Cycle this. Redraw Approach of the Second Sun. Finish the game. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Deck lists are always in description. Thank you all for all of your time. Look at that yellow glow, so you know we've got a rare or better card. What could it be? My second Jace, Cunning Castaway. Well, enjoy your day, and I will see you again sometime down the road in the near future. Later.